I want you to imagine something. Tomorrow morning, you wake up making $250,000 a year. Not eventually, tomorrow. Your bills are paid. You live somewhere nice. You can travel. You can eat where you want. You could buy nice things. You can save. You can invest. Like, life is good. I want you to imagine this. Now, let me change one thing. Everybody around you makes $2 million a year. Your coworkers, your friends, your neighbors, everybody you follow online. You pull up to dinner in your Mercedes, everybody else has a Rolls Royce. You fly first class, everybody's flying private. You buy a beautiful $800,000 house. They're talking about their third property in Cabo. Now, let me ask you something. Do you still feel rich? Because this is where it gets interesting. I didn't change your income. I didn't change your house. I didn't change your car. I didn't take away your vacations. I didn't make your life worse at all. I only changed who was standing next to you. And somehow, $250,000 doesn't feel like $250,000 anymore. And that's crazy. And I think this explains something about money that we don't talk about enough. Maybe enough isn't always a number. Sometimes enough is a comparison. Think about something you own right now that you used to really, really want. Maybe it was your car, maybe it's your apartment, maybe it's your purse, maybe it's the phone you're literally watching this video on. There was probably a point where you thought, I cannot wait until I get that. Then you got it. And for a little while, you loved that thing, right? You were showing everybody, you kept looking at it, you were grateful every time you used it. And now, like, it's just your phone, or it's just your car, or it's just where you live. You don't wake up every morning like, oh my gosh, I have an iPhone. Of course you don't. Like, I know, because your brain did something interesting. It made your blessing normal. And once something becomes normal, you need something else to recreate that feeling you got when it was new. That's why I think people misunderstand wanting more. We assume once I get that, I'll feel successful. But the problem is, eventually that becomes this. The thing over there that you're chasing eventually becomes a thing sitting right here that you barely notice. And now there's another that. Think about money. Remember the first amount of money you made where you thought like, oh my gosh, I'm making like real money now. Like this is a lot of money. Maybe it was $50,000. Maybe it was $75,000. Maybe it was your first six-figure year. Maybe the first time your business made $10,000 in a month. Whatever your number was, do you remember how big it felt? Now imagine you've been making that same amount for 5 years now. Does it still feel big? Probably not. Your brain moved to the finish line. And this is where I think the pursuit of money can become dangerous. If you don't know what you're actually pursuing, there's no number your brain can't eventually make normal. Let's try something else. So imagine I tell you, you won. That's it. You've officially have more money than everybody you know. Your house is the biggest, your car is the nicest, your clothes are the most expensive. Every time you walk into a room, you're the richest person there. But there's one condition. Nobody is allowed to know. You can't tell anybody how much money you have. Nobody can see your house. You can't post the car. Nobody knows what your clothes cost. You can't put the vacation on Instagram. Nobody can ever be impressed by any of it. Do you still want all of the same things? Not do you want nice things. I like nice things. I'm asking, would you want the exact same things if nobody could ever see you have them? Because that question can tell you a lot about why you wanted something in the first place. Sometimes we're buying enjoyment. Sometimes we're buying convenience. Sometimes we're buying quality. Sometimes we're buying an experience. And sometimes we're buying evidence. Evidence that we're successful. Evidence that we made it. Evidence that we're doing better than somebody thought we would. Evidence that we belonged in a certain room. And there's nothing wrong with realizing that. But you should know what you're paying for. Because if what you're buying is really somebody else's reaction, you've handed somebody else the power to determine what enough looks like. And social media makes this so much worse. Because historically, who were you comparing yourself to? People you actually knew, like your neighbors, your coworkers, your family, maybe somebody from school. Now you can wake up, open Instagram, and before you even brush your teeth, you've seen somebody your age buying a mansion. Somebody younger than you retiring their mother, somebody in Dubai, somebody making $100,000 a month, somebody getting a Birkin, somebody buying their fifth rental property, somebody flying private, and you're still sitting there like, damn, I need to get my life together. Meanwhile, you might actually be doing better financially than you ever done in your life. Nothing happened to you between waking up and opening Instagram. Your reference point changed. That's it. And your brain interpreted the distance between you and somebody else's life as evidence that you aren't doing enough. And that's powerful because if somebody else can change how you feel about your life without changing anything about your life, you need to pay attention to that. And this is why I don't think comparison only steals joy. I think comparison can get expensive because eventually we start spending money trying to close a gap that exists mostly in our heads. You were perfectly happy with your car until you saw theirs. Your house was beautiful until you saw theirs. Your vacations were exciting until you saw where they went. Your income felt good until somebody told you what they make. Now suddenly you need an upgrade. But here's the question. Did your life actually get worse, or did your definition of good move? Those are not the same problem. And if you treat them like they're the same problem, you can spend a lot of money solving something money didn't create. And actually, let me give you the opposite scenario. Imagine tomorrow I take away Instagram, YouTube, everything for 1 year. You can't see what celebrities own. You don't know what your favorite influencer bought. You don't know where everybody traveled to. You don't know what anybody's business made. You don't know what anybody's house looks like. All you have is your life, your family, your friends, your goals, your bills, your bank account, the things you genuinely enjoy. At the end of that year, would your definition of success be the same? I don't know. Maybe it might not be. And that's interesting because it means some of the things we call goals might actually be comparisons wearing a little cute outfit. And I want to make something very clear. I'm not about to tell you to stop wanting more. Absolutely not. I want more. I like nice things. I always want to make more money. I want to build more businesses. I want to own more. I don't believe ambition is the problem. I think the problem is chasing a finish line you never personally chose because you can win that race and still not feel like you won. Think about this. If your goal is simply more, when do you arrive? You can make $100,000. Now you want $250,000. You make $250,000. Now you want $500,000. Get the house. Now you want a bigger house. You buy the car. Now you want a newer model when it comes out. You hit 100,000 followers. Now somebody has 1 million. There is always another level, which means more cannot tell you when you've won. More has no finish line. And if the game has no finish line, you better decide for yourself what winning actually looks like. Otherwise, you could spend your entire life winning and never experience the feeling of having won. Here's where money finally gets really interesting to me because I don't think the goal of wealth is to reach some magical number and then you suddenly feel like you have enough. I think money works better when you decide what you want to do with it. Maybe enough means I can take care of my parents. Maybe it means I don't have to work somewhere that I hate. That's mine. Maybe it means I can travel whenever I want. Also mine. Maybe it means housing is paid for. Maybe it means I can work 3 days a week instead of 5. Maybe it means I can give more. Maybe it means I can build businesses. Maybe it means I could wake up on a Tuesday morning and decide what do I want to do with my Tuesday. Those are completely different goals. And notice something here. None of them require you to be richer than somebody else. They require your money to be able to support the life you decided matters. That's a much more useful definition of enough. Because here's the trap. If you don't define enough for yourself, the world will happily define it for you. And the world's definition is very convenient. There's always another car to buy, always another house to upgrade, always another phone, another trip, another outfit, another income level, another status symbol, another person you're supposed to catch. And as long as you believe happiness is sitting one purchase or one income level ahead of you, you will keep running. And I think there's a really simple test for this. Think about the financial goal you're chasing right now. Whatever it is, more income, or a house or a certain net worth, a business, a car, whatever, and ask yourself, what do I believe I will feel when I get it? Not what will I have, what will I feel? Will you feel safe? Will you feel free? Will you feel respected, successful, relaxed, important, proud, enough? Because that answer might tell you more about your goal than the number does. And then ask, is this actually the best way to create that feeling? Because sometimes it is. If your goal is having 6 months of expenses saved because you want breathing room, great. Money can help create that. But if you're trying to spend your way into feeling important, there probably isn't a number high enough for that. Because the problem was never the number. And I think that's the realization I keep coming back to. I want to build wealth, absolutely. But I don't want to spend my entire life chasing more so hard that I never noticed when I already have something I used to pray for. Those two things can exist together. Gratitude doesn't require you to stop growing, and ambition doesn't require you to be dissatisfied with everything you already have. You can appreciate this and still build that. You can enjoy where you are and still be excited about where you're going. Because maybe the goal isn't to stop wanting more. Maybe the goal is to make sure more isn't required for you to financially feel like enough. So go back to the beginning. You're making $250,000. You have a beautiful home, nice car, you travel, your bills are paid, you can invest, you can take care of the people you love, but everybody around you makes $2 million. Are you rich? And I can't answer that for you, but I can tell you this. Nothing about your life got smaller just because somebody else's got bigger. And if somebody else's success can make your success stop feeling successful, you may need your own definition of enough. That's what I want you to think about. Not how much money would impress somebody else. Not what number sounds wealthy on the internet. What does money need to allow you to do for your life to feel rich? Figure that out. Because once you know what enough means to you, you can still chase more. You just don't have to spend your whole life needing it. And I'll see you in the next one.